Welcome back, everybody, to the Civil War by Victory Games, designed by Eric Lee Smith. I'm Turn608. This is the final turn, turn 19. The Union needs to get. I know I did my my math up here. The Union is at 114, and the CSA is at 44 plus 5, 49. So 65 is the differential. I need to get a net 10 out of this turn for the Union in order to squeak by with a marginal victory. And of course, the CSA just needs to keep me from doing that. So it's going to be a very tense last turn. If I had played the CSA a little better, this probably would not even be. These two turns probably could not have even been played. Also, if I had played the Union a little better, I might. There was a rules thing that I misinterpreted. I said that once you trace to a supply depot, the supply depot chains just change. Just do 4, and there's a. There's a supply depot in Atlanta underneath this fort. Again, the stacking in this module is a little weird when it comes to forts and depots. They don't always stack top to bottom, so you have to kind of hover over them to see what's in there. So let's get into it. There'll be no surprises here in the reveal. Oh, yes, and then I go back and talk about me not spending discretionary points around Washington. I spent them in the West because he had isolated Washington. But I actually kind of walk that back because I think I also misspent commands to get the forts into New Orleans and Vicksburg, or maybe it was in Richmond. I'm not sure where, but I think I underspent there. So the mistakes I've made along the way. It's been a long time since I played the game. I've been struggling with the WGA modified rules, especially for the whole leaders in armies and getting the math right. It's kind of okay. I think it's a huge advantage to the CSA because most of the time they are not attacking with their armies, they are simply defending. And the leader rules don't apply to defending. If they applied to defending as well as attacking, then it would be a much more tense game. But because only the attacker is required to have the right number of stars to run all of his troops in the attack, the CSA just, puts a few good leaders in each of their armies, and the idiots like Huger and stuff, you just go send them someplace else. Get them off the map. You don't really want them around. That to me it favors the defense. That the ruling that they have on putting Union leaders. I mean, they're trying to come up with a way to make you have to use people like Banks with his ugly -2, or a Rosecrans in charge of an army, or other such horrible leaders, just so that you can have all your strength points. Burnside, McDowell. As you can see, by the end of the game, these guys are sitting on one strength point or a couple strength points somewhere else because they just aren't worth messing with. That's just the way it is. I do agree that you shouldn't be able to stack all the leaders on one depot. I do like that part of the rule. So, I get the feeling that it helps the defense more than it helps the offense. But I should just shut up and play. So let's keep going here. Here's the reveal. Once again, these last 2 turns, I probably should have had the Union going primary in the east to try and take Virginia, because converting Virginia would have done the same thing as converting Tennessee. It guarantees me a win. Hindsight's 2020, right? Yeah, I even make a note about that. So I did get a few reinforcements. Don't have to place for next turn because there are no more turns. The CSA, I went and reset their leader pool because they had, and I did a quick math calculation. They have 6 tactical pluses over their 5 leaders, so that gives you an idea of how much defensive modifiers they lost. And then research commands. Union gets theirs, and the CSA gets theirs. Didn't spend anything on the Commerce Raiders. He rolled a 9. The Shenandoah got a 10. So he went up 19 ship points. Total will be 159, so they're going to get 6 extra victory points there from their ships. And then I made a new ships counter and just put it. I left the original at the 140 and pushed this one up to the 19. There's no backside that says like plus 140. I guess they don't ever expect ship sunk to get that high. I did the Trans-Mississippi, but there's really nothing for me to do in the Trans-Mississippi. This is me doing a quick count of production. They had 1 point left in Florida, Tallahassee. They have all of Georgia, it's 11. 6 in South Carolina, 10 in North Carolina, 10 in Virginia, and 5 in Tennessee. So 43 plus 5 ports. Put them at 46, so that put them even further down on the supply effects chart. Where's that? Supply. Where's my... I always get this so screwed up. It's not there. Terrain effects? No. Play, resources, leaders. It's under resources somewhere. I don't know where I put it. I know it's in here somewhere. I swear it's in here somewhere. Well, I can't seem to find the chart that tells you what the... Ah, here it is. It's under command points, which makes no sense to me. But it should have its own tab, just says supply. But so depots and forts cost extra. Enable strength pause costs them 3, but they don't have any to bring in. Upgrading a fort to a fortress costs 5, but I have all of them on the board, so it doesn't matter. Spyline can only be traced 3. This is the one that I messed up, according to what people tell me on Board Game Geek. And now they can only trace 1 hex to a rail line instead of 2, because they're in this 40 range. They haven't lost a movement point. They did over in the Trans-Mississippi. They're down here to no Confederate and entering an NP cause and involved. All these horrible, terrible things in the Trans-Mississippi, but they have exactly 1 strength point over there, and I'm not going to go traipsing after them. There's bigger, I got to go after things like Atlanta, Savannah, Petersburg, maybe Norfolk again. I need to get like a plus net 11 at least in order to pull off a win with the Union. So I'm not going to be running around the Trans-Mississippi very much. So, in the action phase, we start off with, of course, the huge die roll differential of 1. So I took a free reinforcement and then sent another reinforcement to the Army of the Potomac so that I'm at full. And they took a leader in the Army of Northern Virginia. That die rolls to tell you which leader I got. Why is it sticking? And then rolled a single die instead of 2 die for the Confederacy. And they managed to get another 1 point split, so I took a strength point, 29-25, and moved it to 29-12. So I think I sent another strength point via rail from like Louisville or something and put it in Bowling Green. I don't know why I didn't just ship it on down to Nashville, but hey, my brain wasn't working real well here. They took another leader in the Army of Northern Virginia, and I think 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're at 6 leaders, so he can't have any more in his army. I think we got up to a 2-die differential in favor of the CSA, so what is going on? Why does it do this? They took an army in the Army of the Tennessee and a leader in Atlanta. And then, because I had a free leader and then 1 point for another leader, and then I just burned a Trans-Mississippi point. With 2 points, I said, I need to go get Norfolk before he gets reinforcements in there. So I went and took Norfolk. The fort damaged Ironclad because it's not manned anymore. So I had 4 strength points plus 4 trans divided by 2 is another 2, so that put me up to 6 plus 1 Ironclad, total of 7. CSA is 1 for the Hex, 1 for the city, and 1 for the fort. So there are 3, so it's the 2-to-1 column plus 1. Net 4 is a D2, and a 5 when small force doesn't pulls off a D. So Union takes a Hex, demoralized, but that was the important part. And then I put them in there to control the river. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Bobby Lee can't come straight at me. He's got to go across it. Petersburg first. And then we got big die differential there. We took a leader. Burned some Trans-Mississippi and a discretionary point because I really didn't have anything to do. That was me checking to see what the leader was in Knoxville. And I moved looks like I moved a leader into where Huger is. And then moved, what did I do? I did some dance of the leaders here somewhere. Then I came over to the Union for their 5. And here we go again. Sherman decides to go marching. Then I took a strength point, 1342. I have no idea what I did there. Oh, and then I built the Army of the James under McClellan. The idea here, just so you have some idea of what the heck I'm thinking about, if I can get McClellan, I've got, what's the points here? So I've got 2 discretionary and 4 in the east. So my thought was, if I get McClellan to move to like here, if he can go there with an army, he cuts things off, and then I can have Grant force Lee to use his supply depot, and then if I get lucky and can get 2 more command points, you know, a double here and get some more command points, then the next time I attack Lee, hopefully I can force him to retreat because he's not in supply because of the supply depot, or I can run around behind him and grab Petersburg, and then Grant's supply to by the river, And I just lately decided that I was going to try and steal some points here in Virginia. And the other thing is this army could actually march 1, 2, 3, 4 down to Raleigh just to grab those two, which would let me possibly move to Fayetteville. So I had possibilities, and I needed to have possibilities of snatching some points here in the east. So that's why that army got built there. Okay, what did I do next? Yeah, I needed to have some more points here. We got a 3 initiative. So I did something in the west. Oh, Sherman marches off to attack Atlanta. And I'm going to have the army in Atlanta try to fight because Jackson was there. I had messed up my leader things, I thought it. So I fixed it because I had fully intended Jackson to be there to fight Sherman. Anyway, it ended up being a 3-1, shifted down. So it's actually a 2-1, Unions +3 with 2 rerolls, CSA is +2. But they're going to probably use up their depot because they don't want the Union to get it. CSA got a net 6, which is a D1, and Sherman got a D3. He does not want to be demoralized, so he's going to have CSA reroll. They got a D1 and again a D1. So they stayed at a D1. So Sherman got demoralized, but he blew up most of Jackson's army. And then leader rolls. Everybody was okay. And then on the, obviously the CSA side, they get rid of their desperation morale. And we tied at 4. For the CSA, this is a disaster. We were almost out of command points. Turn was looking like it's going to end, and oh my goodness. Here we go. This could be the end for the CSA. And then, amazingly, the turn ends on double 7s. So the South gets to move up their victory points over here. 2 points to 46. They have 6 more points. So I moved them up for their so I moved them up. I threw in their ships sunk pluses too, because they had 5 of them, or 6 of them, and CSA basically ends up at 51. Actually, I think they're supposed to be at 52 from my 122. So it's a 71. I missed it by 4 points. And like I put in my notes here, I'm sure I foobarred a few things along the way, which I know for a fact that I did. Back to what I started discussing earlier in the Kern. I really think I like the idea that leaders have to be in command of troops, so that, Burnside has to have at least 5,000 people. You can't just stack Burnside banks and everybody up in, Lafayette, Indiana, or where's the other one I usually send them to? Peoria, which seems appropriate. Build a depot and send every, minus leader of the Union to Peoria to have a convention. So I do like the idea that they have to sit on troops, at least 1 strength point per leader. That keeps you from, ending up with the old folks' home. If you're going to stack that many leaders there, there's going to be a whole big army there too. So you tend to use them a little bit, like I did. Burnside I used for maneuver. McDowell probably would have tried to go after Knoxville because he would have had like a 6-point shift on it if I could have ever gotten the points. Um, like I said, I really think that the whole uh, leader count, because you have to have your army commander can command up to 6 points of either leaders or strength points. So like here, Lion commands 1, 2, 3, 4 leaders. Wilson commands 2. Rosecrans commands 6. Ord commands 6, and Reynolds commands 6. So there's 18, 19, 20, and then Lions. Because you have to get that kind of a mix to make your full strength armies be able to do anything, the Union Army didn't move for a long time until I had enough leaders to make those armies effective. Whereas the CSA, they can get by with just an army leader. If they're really strapped for leaders, they can just have an army leader. As you saw in my Army of the Mississippi, I only had like 2 leaders besides A.S. Johnson. I don't need leaders because I'm not attacking. I think it favors the defender way more than it does the attacker. And in most games, the CSA is defending. They aren't attacking. There's no reason to attack unless you're trying to keep them from converting a state or something like that. Otherwise, you just try to delay the Union as much as possible. So I'm not so sure about this using the leaders this way. I do like the rule about individual, like a Howard can actually try to withdraw before an army overruns his silly 1 strength point. I do like that. I like the idea that leaders have to be in charge of at least 1 strength point. Or be in Washington for the Union. I can't remember. I'd have to go look up, but I can't remember if Richmond is treated like Washington, where you can just stack a whole bunch of Southern leaders. It would make sense that the capitals can have all the leaders in them, but I'm not going to look up the rules right now. So anyway, the Union, they got those. Wrong thing. They got all these extra commands, but then the turn ended. If they'd have been able to use the commands, they probably could have pulled it off. Having, picked up Atlanta, they could have probably done their attacks up here to try and get through Chattanooga, which would have been 3. Possibly I could get Foote and his fleet to move like to Fort Fisher and pick up those 4 points and go pick up maybe a Brunswick or something, and Sedgwick might have been able to move, so I could have probably picked up another 5 maybe. Possibility that I could get Sherman undemoralized and run around and pick up 2 or 3 points here. I didn't even place these rail markers. That should be 1 in Columbus and 1 here and 1 here, but he'd have to build a depot in order to be in supply. So, yeah, things are not as they seem. The game ended just a little too quick for the Union, and the South squeaked out a victory. So there you have it. There's my solo playthrough. Like I said, I'm sure I've foobarred a lot of things. I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Leave me comments. I will respond. And I'm not sure what game I'm going to do next. I don't know if I'll do this again. I don't know if I will maybe try this with a different set of the rules. Doing away with the needing to use the army leaders to the leaders in the army, the red tape, I think the rule is called. Not sure. Or I might go off and do something completely different. We'll just have to wait and see. But thanks for watching, and until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.